The doors to XRP's most exclusive club just opened, and I sprinted through before they slammed shut. Now, for the first time in ages, joining the XRP's elite is actually on sale, but there's a catch that no one is actually talking about. So, picture this. XRP was cruising at around $3.18 just a few weeks back. Everyone was celebrating, the champagne was flowing, metaphorically speaking. Then out of nowhere, bam, it slips down to around $2.84. A more than 10% drop. It was ouch, right? Well, on the surface of that bad news, but here's kind of the wild part. This dip actually created a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. It's like the universe put the XRP Rich List membership on the discount rack. Suddenly I realized that I could join the top 10% of XRP holders cheaper than it's been in months. Now we're talking hundreds of dollars cheaper, and my brain just lit up. Is this my shot to enter the XRP Millionaires Club without actually being a millionaire? Well, I took that shot and I discovered so much more in the process. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you with me on that journey from scrambling to increase my XRP stack to stumbling onto a new project that could change how we earn XRP. And here's a few twists in between, of course. Now, trust me here, this isn't just numbers and news. It actually became personal and pretty fast. And you might just see XRP in a whole new light by the end. Okay, let's rewind just a little bit. Late September, XRP is hovering under $3, and I'm feeling a bit of a mix of disappointment and deja vu. I'm disappointed here because, hey, who likes seeing their favorite altcoin dip, right? But there's also a little bit of deja vu because I've seen this play before. Price drops, people panic, but a few kind of contrarians see an opportunity. And I started hearing chatter. XRP Rich List thresholds are down. Now, if you don't know, the XRP Rich List is basically a leaderboard of how much XRP you need to hold to be in the top 10%, 5%, 1% of all XRP addresses. So think of it like crypto bragging rights, a who's who of, holders. So I look it up, and sure enough, to be in the top 10% of XRP holders, you now need exactly 2,362 XRP. That is around about $6,700 at the current price of recording. Yes, I know that $6,700 is still a lot of money. I'm not saying that it isn't, but here is the kicker. Just 2 months ago, you would have needed $7,300 worth of XRP to crack into the same list. Essentially, it's almost a $600 discount to enter this exclusive club of top holders. Now, $600 off. It's not like a 50% Black Friday kind of blowout or anything like that, but $600 is still $600. That's rent, or maybe a new mobile phone, or, I don't know, a solid weekend trip out of town. And it kind of got me thinking pretty hard. Now, I've been holding XRP for quite a while. Not a whale or anything too crazy, but I'm somewhere in the middle of it all, right? And the thought have crossed my mind, what if I could push myself into the top, X% bracket? Would it really matter? Would it just stroke my ego, or could it actually position me better for when or if XRP skyrockets someday? So I bounced the question around in my head. 50,000 XRP, that's the top 1%. Maybe that's a little out of my league. That's, going to be something like $142,000 at the point of recording. Basically a house in some areas, or maybe even a really fancy car worth of crypto. So I probably can forget about being in the top 1% for the moment. Now, even the top 5% does require 8,200 XRP, which would be around $23,000. Pretty steep still, right? But top 10%, that is only around 6 to 7 grand. That's within the realm of possibility for a lot of people, specifically if they tightened up their belt. Now, I'm usually the type of person that preaches caution, right? Don't FOMO in, stick to the plan. But this one did feel a little bit different. it wasn't pure hype here, it was more like a strategic play. It's as if XRP's price dip opened up a back door into the VIP lounge, and that door might not stay open for very long. Now, because, let's face it, crypto sentiment flips faster than a pancake, right? So if XRP even sniffs a bullish trend, that cheap entry could be gone. And sure enough, some well-known voices in the XRP community were echoing just that. One in particular is a guy who goes by the name of Coach JV. He's warned that XRP's next big move would be fast, unexpected, and unforgiving. I kind of covered this on yesterday's video. But basically, he's saying here is when it rips, it's going to rip so hard and it's going to leave behind anyone who wasn't ready. Now that quote, it kind of stuck with me. I mean, fast, unexpected, and unforgiving. It rang in my ears every time that I hesitated. So I made a decision. I decided to go for it. Not in some kind of reckless, all-in kind of way, but I set a goal. I would accumulate enough so that I could hit some of those thresholds and maybe creep up that rich list just a little bit more. Now, I had some XRP already, so I wasn't starting completely from zero. And I did the math and I realized that it actually wasn't insanely that far off to get into that next bracket. Still, it did mean that I had to buy a few hundred more XRP, at a time when, honestly, a lot of people were worried it might drop a little bit further. That's the funny thing about all of these opportunities. They look, they only look obvious in, hindsight. In the moment, it actually feels a lot like uncertainty and a little bit of terror. Now, let me be real with you guys. When I was hitting that buy button on XRP, at least to reach my goal, my palms were literally sweating, right? I'm not exaggerating here. It's one of those things that you have to have, which is conviction. And the other part of this is to watch your account balance dip into your savings just because you want to join some kind of, elite list, a theoretical kind of who's who, right? Now, part of me was like, this is rather silly, right? Why does this even matter, right? But another part of me, the part that remembering every time that I hesitated and later I kicked myself, that part said, if you don't do it now, you're going to kick yourself when it shoots up and you're left wishing that you had grabbed a bit more at $2.84. So yeah, I pushed through and I did it. And as of now, I officially hold enough XRP to be in, I'm not going to give you the exact percentage, but I'm in that top 10% easily, and maybe I cracked a few percentages higher. I mean, there's no literal club card and there's no secret handshake or anything like that. It's not like Ripple sends me a Christmas card or anything. It's just more of a personal milestone. And funny enough, when I kind of checked the data, I'm not alone. The number of addresses that are now in that top 10% have actually been growing. Over 705,000 addresses are now in that bracket. That's a whole lot of people or wallets who saw the same opportunity as I did, right? The top 5% now has 352,500 addresses, and even the top 1%, those mega whales, they're around 70,500 going strong, right? So all of those numbers have kind of ticked up while the price was ticking down. Kind of ironic, right? So price falls, but more people are piling in enough to reach those elite tiers. Now, it's kind of like a backwards kind of stampede, right? Instead of running away from the falling assets, people are actually running towards it and trying to grab a seat at the table. Now, around this point in my journey, as I'm kind of patting myself on the back for hitting the goal, a thought kind of hits me. I said, all right, a top, X% a holder right now. What does that actually do for me practically? And sure, it's pretty cool for a tweet or a Discord flex, right? But speaking of which, here's a quick reminder, because I do hang out in our free educational Discord server with a whole bunch of other crypto enthusiasts. A link is in the description if you do want to join us. We celebrate all of these little wins together. We share the tips and occasionally even console each other when the market goes rough. It's a good time, but beyond bragging rights, does being in the top X% actually have any tangible benefits? Well, on its own, not really. It's not like XRP pays you dividends for being a top holder, or that you get invited to secret meetings with the Ripple execs, right? The real benefits is actually kind of what could happen if XRP's value rises, right? The more that you hold, the more you potentially stand to gain or lose, because volatility does cut both ways. So being in the top X% club, is kind of really just a fancy way of saying I've concentrated a lot of my eggs into this one basket. Gulp. And that got me thinking a bit further. How can I make those eggs hatch more eggs, so to speak, right? And enter the next little twist in our story here, Unity nodes. Now, if you haven't heard of Unity by now, don't worry, because I hadn't heard about it until a little while ago, and I started poking around for ways to actually make my XRP work a little bit harder. Now, Unity nodes kind of fell into my lap during one of those late night Reddit kind of rabbit holes. People were talking about earning passive income in XRP, funny enough, by running something called Unity on their phones. I was like, wait, what? Earn XRP using my phone? Is that like crypto mining 2.0 or some kind of new network thing? So I dug down deeper, and here's the basic rundown. Unity is a new project aiming to decentralize telecom infrastructure. So think of cell towers or cell networks and Wi-Fi, right? By using regular people's devices as part of the network. And to incentivize people, right? They actually reward them in crypto. Now, in this particular case, they actually can reward you in multiple different cryptocurrencies, including XRP, among other tokens, right? And the cool part is that the whole system runs on a limited number of Unity nodes. Only a few thousand of these nodes exist, like limited edition tickets to a concert. Now, each node is actually an NFT that you can buy, and yes, I even paid in XRP for mine. So once you have one, it's kind of like a license to run the Unity app on your devices. So when you buy one of these nodes, it actually comes with 200 licenses to let you run 200 different mobile devices. So when their network goes live, which will hopefully be just around the corner, your devices will actually help do work on the network, or do little tasks, I should say, like routine calls, verifying signal strengths, that kind of techie stuff. And you're going to earn, potentially if you choose to, XRP in return. So it's basically like turning your phone into a mini cell tower and getting paid for it. Now, that's how I interpret it anyway. Now, I'll admit, when I first read about all of this, I had flashbacks to all of those kind of plug in this device and earn crypto schemes that never really kind of panned out. Skeptic mode was kind of fully on here, but Unity nodes actually stood out because a whole bunch of people in the XRP community and Cardano community were buzzing about it. And the idea of getting XRP rewards caught my attention pretty quick. I mean, I'm already deep into XRP, as you can probably tell, right? And if there's a way that I can earn more without actually just going on an exchange and buying it, well, I'm interested. So the long story short here is that I went ahead and I did something a little bit adventurous. I bought a Unity node, and yes, I parted with some of my XRP in a painstakingly accumulated kind of way, the same XRP helping me reach that, milestone that I was talking about earlier, and purchased one of these nodes with 200 licenses. It was not cheap, for the record. Think a price tag similar to a nice laptop, and that gets you essentially a digital ticket to participate here, right? There are only a limited number of the actual nodes, but each node comes with 200 licenses, which I can sell, lease out, or use myself. So I also felt a little bit of FOMO that I didn't grab more than one, but one will do for my experiments here. So I might never actually get the chance to buy another one, but hey, I've got one for now. Crypto is a kind of classic kind of crypto mentality, if you know what I mean. And so here I am, not only an XRP holder, a Cardano holder, but I'm also now the proud owner of a Unity node NFT. The catch? Well, the app is not live yet, so I can't just fire it up and start earning, but I will be setting something up right here on the desk and reporting back to you guys how it goes. The idea of earning XRP this very second is kind of where I want to be, but it's not live just yet. Now, the team behind Unity is still developing and testing, and it is like I bought a car and I'm waiting for the road to be built, right? But at least in a way, that's fine. I knew that when I was signing up to this thing. This is an early stage stuff. It's almost like being in beta testing, right? The plan is, once they officially launch the Unity network, I'm going to run the app on multiple phones. I'm going to start with 10 or 20 over here. Spare devices, or maybe have to accumulate a couple of more, just to kind of separate it from the daily kind of driver. That's this one here. And I'm going to see if I can actually, if it actually delivers on a lot of its promises, because its calculator via its website is rather ambitious. If some of that is right, we're going to be making a whole ton of XRP daily, right? I mean, we'd like to see that, but I'm going to be skeptical and say I highly doubt it's going to achieve its full 100% maximum capacity. So we'll see how it kind of goes. But the calculator on the website is very promising. But even if it is a trickle of that, it is still a very, very neat passive income and a neat concept. Earning crypto for contributing to a decentralized network sounds like being part of the future. Now, one thing that I want to clarify, and I had to clarify this for myself too, running a Unity node does not mean that I'm running an XRP ledger validator or something like that. That's not what's going on here. I'm not suddenly a core blockchain node, right? It's more like a piece of a new telecoms crypto hybrid network that happens to reward its users in XRP as one of its kind of reward currencies. You can actually choose Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, a whole host of others. So expectations should equal managed here. Now, if your scam radar is buzzing right now, good. Right? It's always good to be skeptical, right? We should always be cautious. And I certainly was. I'm treating this Unity node adventure as exactly just that. It's a bit of an experiment for me and something that I am truly excited about. Maybe it will be revolutionary. Maybe it will fizzle out. Time will tell. And I promise you guys, I'm going to keep you posted on how it goes in future videos or even in the Discord. If it starts raining XRP into my wallet, well, you're going to be the first ones to know. And if it fails spectacularly, well, you'll definitely hear about that too. Probably with me making some kind of self-depreciating kind of jokes at my own expense. But, Unity isn't coming from nobodies either. It comes from two new crypto projects. I'll say new. World Mobile's been around for quite a while on the Cardano ecosystem, going multi-chain. And they actually have launched the World Mobile chain as well. Now, they're going to be one of the main backers of Unity, alongside its kind of sister project called Minutes Network, a newer one. Now, these guys are disrupting the telecoms industry. So if you do not know who World Mobile are, you probably need to go ahead and do some research on that. Likewise with Minutes, there is a link to Unity down in the description down below. So it's well worth checking it out if any of this does sound of interest to you guys. I'm super excited about it. I like the idea of earning things like Bitcoin, Cardano's ADA, and of course XRP for just basically doing these verification tasks and checks, in a decentralized manner using mobile devices. So super excited. Now, this actually feels like a good moment for a bit of a reality check and a little bit of a breather. So let me drop a very quick disclaimer before anyone kind of thinks this is a how-to guide. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, breathing that out now. So, where were we? Right. I was juggling that status of being an XRP top holder and a freshly minted Unity node owner in the waiting. Cue the combo, right? Or at least quite the combo, I should say, I know. Right? You're probably wondering, what's the end game here? Why go through all of this? Well, honestly, part of it is just my crypto nerd nature, right? I love experimenting with these new things, being hands-on and seeing firsthand what's legit and what is just smoke and mirrors. It's the same reason that I started this channel here, to document all of these adventures in crypto land, the wins, the facepalms alike, and of course, just absolutely take the piss along the way, hence the name. But another part of this is my outlook on XRP's future, right? I wouldn't be doing any of this if I didn't have some level of confidence, tempered with a bit of caution, that XRP has brighter days ahead. Could I be wrong? Absolutely, right? The crypto market has humbled me many times over. But here's what I see. Despite past regulatory battles and all of the noise, XRP's ecosystem is quietly expanding. Developers are building stuff. They literally got smart contracts and an Ethereum-compatible sidechain going now, right? Financial institutions are still interested in what Ripple and XRP can do for cross-border payments, and there's a community of hardcore believers who aren't going anywhere. So when I saw that rich list data showing more people climbing into those upper tiers, to me that signaled increasing confidence. Real people, or maybe some bots, who knows, decided to accumulate more XRP even as the price was sliding. Now that doesn't guarantee anything, but it's an interesting signal nonetheless. It's like an undercurrent of optimism beneath the surface gloom. Maybe those people who, maybe they know something, right? Or maybe they just have strong conviction. Either way, I've kind of joined their ranks, both literally and, of course, figuratively. Now, I do want to touch on something really important. Managing risk and expectations. It's easy to get caught up in the XRP to the moon hype. Trust me, right? I've ridden that emotional roller coaster before. But here's how I see it now. Right? I've put money into XRP that I can afford to keep locked up for quite a while, potentially even lose. Knock on wood, it doesn't happen, right? The same is for the Unity nodes, right? I treat that as a high-risk venture with some significant rewards. I mean, the risk-reward ratio seems pretty decent in my humble opinion, but you've got to do your own research. Always do that anyway, but it's almost like maybe funding a Kickstarter project, right? And if it does play out and pan out, that's going to be awesome. If not, well, it won't wreck me financially. That's rather important. Now, a big reason that I feel okay doing all of this is because I stay diversified and I keep learning and connecting with other people. Right, here's a quick shout out, right? Beyond the Discord, I also use multiple exchanges to manage my crypto. Lately, I've been trading a lot on Blowfin and BitGet. Both are pretty user-friendly, and yes, full transparency, I do have affiliate links for both in the description. Now, if you do use those links, sign up and trade through it, it supports the channel here at no extra cost to you. Whether you use them or not, there's no pressure, but the option is there, and I'll be grateful to you guys if you do support the channel in that way. Now, the bigger point here is that find tools that work for you and always know what you're getting into. So, where does that leave all of us then? Well, what's the big takeaway from my little XRP escapade today? Well, for me, it's this. Sometimes bad news, like a price drop, has a bit of a silver lining, but you have to be willing to look for it and act while everyone else is quite fearful. And do it smartly, not blindly. The opportunity to join the rich list opened up precisely when sentiment was shaky. It's almost poetic how crypto can reward the bold contrarians. Those who move when others freeze. But you've got to balance that boldness with the brains, right? Hence me doing my research, talking to the community, and yes, tempering my moonshot dreams with a healthy dose of experimentation. Hello, Unity. I also learned that there's always more to the story than just the price, right? Beyond the price chart, and there are communities, there are innovations, and yes, there's random YouTubers like me making moves based on both facts and a few gut feelings. Now, XRP's story isn't just about whether it's $2 or $3 or $10, right? It's about what people are building on it and why people hold it years after years, right? Right now, I feel like I'm part of the story in a bigger way than I was maybe a month or so ago, both as a holder and as someone who's tinkering on the cutting edge, or maybe the fringe, with this new Unity experiment. Maybe in a few months, I'm going to look back and say, wow, that was the smartest thing that I ever did. Or I'll say, well, that was a lesson learned. Either way, it's going to make a great story, and I'm here for it. Now, I'm glad that I could share the moment, or the first chapter, I should say, with you guys, right? If nothing else, I hope that this got you thinking about your own crypto journey, whether you're an XRP holder or not. The principles of at least are kind of universal here. You've got to do your own research. You've got to seize the opportunities carefully, and you don't want to be afraid to explore new territory. Just bring a map and some common sense. So if you've enjoyed coming along on this little ride with me, you can do me a favor by smashing that like button, hitting the subscribe button for more personal crypto stories and adventures like this one. There's more twists and turns just ahead, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss them. I'll see you all in the next one.